Welcome back to Fred Achando Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. When Raila Amolo Odinga and the entire Azimio leadership declared that they were going to conduct mass action that would compel William Ruto to reduce the cost of living, the Kenya Kwanza team reacted by intimidation and threats and blackmail. And one of the people who are involved in this blackmail and intimidation was Cleopas Malala, who is the new Secretary General of the UDA, and DP Rigathi Gachagua. They had challenged the Azimio Brigade to ensure that their sons and daughters are in the front line when people are going for the demonstrations, because they knew very well that they were planning to interfere with the demonstrations. They had prepared tear gas and the water cannons to ensure that they disperse a very peaceful crowd. And I remember the deputy president said that Raila Amolo Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka had taken their children to Iyala, East African Legislative Assembly, and now they want other people's sons and daughters to suffer. While in real sense, going for demonstrations is not a recipe for disaster. It's supposed to be a peaceful demonstration, not unless someone breaches the law, then the police would come up, because the law protects both those who are going for demonstrations and those who are not going for the demonstration. Cleopas Malala on his side had threatened that if at all Raila would make good his threat of coming to town to lead demonstrations, then he himself would also lead another group of Kenya Kwanza supporters to their residential places. And he mentioned that he would demonstrate within Raila's residential place, Martha Karua's residential place, and Kalonzo Musyoka's residential place. And I remember Miguna reacting fiercely towards this, and Miguna told them that you need to read the law, do not be ignorant. You see, Miguna is a double-edged sword. He will praise William Ruto today, but sometimes when he realizes that people who he does not recognize to be academic champions do something, then he will react. And I think he does not really like the way Malala is carrying himself. So one, they thought that by intimidating them that they would go to their residential places, that they would chicken out of going to demonstrate, until they thought that Winnie Odinga would not be part of them. Little did they know that this is not the first time Winnie Odinga is getting involved in demonstrations. I have seen Winnie Odinga in very many demonstrations. In fact, sometimes it is the security that handles her. Winnie would even want to run with the people as they're being tear gassed here and there. So Winnie appeared very courageously. In fact, she went straight to Serena, where the Azimio Brigade was releasing a statement just some minutes before they jumped out to go and conduct the demonstrations. So they don't know what to do. In fact, I have seen some of the UDA and Kenya Kwanza bloggers, they have now changed the story. You see, they always have a U-turn. And by the way, if you didn't know, Kenya Kwanza has charged social media bloggers. They will always run a narrative. They initiate a narrative, then the bloggers will pick it up to run with it, led by Dennis Itumbi and very many of them. So they have now made a U-turn, and they are saying that Winnie Odinga was there, but she was in her comfort zone. She was in some luxurious car. But the whole thing was very risky, because there were live bullets and tear gas and those the cannons that are spraying them with water. And in fact, they later broke Winnie's car, and this really attracted Raila's wrath and criticism. Raila was saying that the administration is only targeting his daughter. Now, the purpose of destroying the car is to send a warning that we could as well, just destroy her, because you never know with these demonstrations. It could be stray bullets, or someone can just decide to cause mayhem, and then they will say that it was a stray bullet. So when Winnie went there, you must know that it is not very easy. It was a risky affair. Not very many people would allow their sons and daughters to be with them, because let's face it, when Raila is there, that is already a risk in itself. There is no need of taking another family member, because the risk is if you lose your life. If you see one person who's going there to demonstrate, they are not there with their father or their mother. They are there alone. So when Raila is there, he's representing maybe their family, if we can pick it from that face value. But Winnie came, and for the whole period that they were going around, that they were facing the tear gas and those cannons and everything, Winnie was with them. In fact, the most tensed time that I saw during that period is when they were in Georgia, because at some point they were sandwiched between those two, between cannons, those that throw that water. Two were in front and the other two were behind them, so they could not go forward, neither could they move backwards. And the kind of intimidation that we saw today is really, really very pathetic. But Winnie has shown them that this is something that I can do. Whether you like Raila Amolo Odinga or not, the blood of fighting for democracy, the blood that runs within that family is one that is wired to speak on behalf of the downtrodden, to speak on behalf of the weak, to speak about an idea when it is very unpopular. Many a times when Raila initiates something, it is always very unpopular. People will criticize him. The other day when he said that people would go for demonstrations, no one ever believed that we would reach a point where the police is scared, and the president barricades all the roads to State House and all the state lodges, and that they will use live bullets and all this machinery to scare people. So Winnie has proved them wrong, that this is something. And when you saw her coming, it seems to me that it was voluntary. No wonder she went there when the Azimio were just about to just complete their consultative meetings, address the people, and then walk. And she knew very well that it was not going to be a walk in the park. Malala, on his side, did not go to Karen with his supporters the way they had planned, because this was going to pit two camps together, and people were really going to fight. People were really going to butcher each other. But another thing, I know they were afraid. The kind of tear gas that was being lobbed within the city, I know not very many Kenya Kwanza team can endure that pain, that predicament, that period. The Kenya Kwanza team still manifests a character of a people who are detached from the reality of the people. Because when Raila said that he would go to the streets with the people, it was not because of self-aggrandizement or because of selfish interest. Raila is fighting for the people. He's championing for democratic space. He wants electoral justice. He wants the cost of living to come down. But you see, when you hear people like Malala trying to counter him by saying that we will also go to your home, simply because they thought that Raila would lead people to go to State House, they're trivializing a very serious matter, something that is unacceptable. Because if you ask me, everybody has a reason why they are going to the streets. And even if you ask people who did not vote for William Ruto, they are going hungry. The cost of living for them is just too high. You ask some parents who voted for William Ruto, they cannot afford the cost of educating their children, school fees, and even the university fees that we are being threatened that is going to be increased. Those who voted for Raila, maybe it's double, because they feel their victory was stolen, and the cost of living is also down. Let the Kenya Kwanza team realize that this is not a laughing matter. Very soon, they will be shocked that the people who voted for them will be the first to rise up. will be the first to lead these demonstrations, because they have just taken lies for too long. They have been hoodwinked for too long. We have seen blame games. In fact, even it's ridiculous to me that up to this moment, the Kenya Kwanza team has not come to the reality that they need to face the challenges that they have and work to ensure that they implement their promises. They still want to say that it was Uhuru Kenyatta, it was Raila Odinga. I saw a very passionate deputy president appealing to the former president to talk to Raila Amolo Odinga to stop and call off the demonstrations. But the language and the tone, if you listen, it is not one that is remorseful, because he still says that Uhuru Kenyatta, you dilapidated this economy. Now the very little that is remaining, we wanted to salvage it, but now you are now sending your friend Raila Amolo Odinga to ensure that he hits the last nail on the head. Today I saw him saying how much we have lost, but he's still saying that, Raila Amolo Odinga should stop this mayhem. His language is not one that is reconciliatory, if you ask me. I think he's still suffering from a state of reverie as a DO during the Kanu era, when they used to be dictatorship. Whatever they said was alpha and omega. But we are in a new dispensation and a new era where all we need is to embrace inclusivity and dialogue. And that is the only thing that will help Kenyans, even as we speak, all over the world. Whenever there is controversy, people must sit down and talk. But our deputy president is not a voice of hope at all. He's never a voice of an arbiter. He's so much obsessed about the fact that Raila could get into the government, and he knows that if that happens, he is gone, because he thinks that if Uhuru Kenyatta if William Ruto would get hold of Raila Amolo Odinga with all that support base, and God forbid he talks Raila out of contesting again, and he tells Raila, I'm now giving you Martha Karua and Kalonzo Musyoka, find a working formula, then Rigiji knows very well that he will be no more. And I think this is why he's obsessed with this, pleading that Raila Amolo Odinga and William Ruto should not accept Raila Amolo Odinga. So, ladies and gentlemen, and if you want to know that Winnie Odinga went there not by coincidence, not by chance, you will continue seeing her in the very many demonstrations that are there to come. Rigathi Gachagua and Malala will find another story, but on this they have been beaten, on this they have been caught pants down, and they have no excuse. But I know they will have to turn it around.